guys? Hope you're all keeping safe. So today we've got the title update 10 patch notes. Been waiting around all day to see these and see what's changed, what hasn't, that sort of thing. So we're going to go over this. It's pretty long. So yeah, let's just get going here. It does say these are preliminary patch notes and changes may still happen until the launch of title update 10, which is tomorrow morning. So we'll see if anything else changes. But this is pretty much going to be it. The new season is Keena's Legacy. This obviously starts on July 23rd. We got a new Manhunt, take on 5 rogue agents over a 12-week period. New global event Hollywood, new parallel event Phoenix Down, new leagues Termite, Luna, Huntsman, and Tita, and new rewards, which is the 2 new exotics, 1 new gear set, 2 new named items, 2 new named gear, etc., etc. And we're going to go over. We'll miss out the Operation Iron Horse and all that sort of stuff. We really want to just get over these TU10 notes here. Actually, we'll do these here because we might as well. So the new raid, if you didn't know, guys, there's a level 40 version available on June 30th, followed by next week by the level 30 version. So that'll be on July 6th or July 7th. Unique rewards are 2 new exotics, 2 new gear sets, new cosmetic rewards. Further details will continue to become clear closer to the raid's release date in late June. And if you did follow or watch my last video on the state of the game, which was on Wednesday, they actually said it was July, early July. So this is actually come a little bit forward, June 30th for that. It says a balance and bug fixes. Title Update 10 is bringing our first large balance pass following the release of Warlords of New York. Beyond the addition of new content, the update focuses on the 3 main aspects, mainly game health during bug fixes or through bug fixes, and balancing generosity by increasing your chances to receive a high quality item as loot, and increasing overall player power. Scroll down for a full list of bug fixes, balancing changes, and gameplay tweaks. So we got the new exotics. We got the SRS sniper rifle Mantis, the Mask Vial, double barrel rifle the Ravenous, and the Magnum pistol. And as you can see here, these 2 exotics are from the Operation Iron Horse, and you can obviously pause the video here if you want to see the stuff for those. The new gear sets, we got the Eclipse Protocol, which is the Season 2 gear set, and we then got the Foundry Bulwark and the Future Initiative, which are both the Operation Iron Horse gear sets. So only 1 new gear set if you're not going to be part of the raid, and again I talked about that in my last video. I'm not going to go over that here. The new brand set or gear brand here is the Walker Harrison Co., which gets 5% weapon damage for the 1 talent. The 2 pieces 5% damage to armor, and the 3 pieces damage to health. If you look at this on first kind of glance, it doesn't look that strong, but just remember that damage to armor here is multiplicative, so that's actually quite strong. The same with damage to health. And damage to health is really good against warhounds and obviously heavies as well. And the core is weapon damage on that. The new named weapons, the Mechanical Animal, which is a SIG 556, with Future Perfection. Weapon kills grant +1 skill tier for 19 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. Weapon kills at skill tier 6, grants overcharge for 15 seconds, and overcharge cooldown is 90 seconds. And then we've also got the Harmony, which is a Resolute MK47 with Perfectly in Sync. Hitting an enemy grants +20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds, so you kind of synergizes there. Damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. So yeah, that's quite a synergy there between the weapon and skill damage. So this may be a good weapon with any skill damage build that you're going for. New named gear, we got the Matador, the Walker Harrison Co. backpack with perfect adrenaline rush. When you're within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 23% bonus armor for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times, which seems quite strong. Cooldown is 5 seconds. Then we got Chain Killer with Perfect Headhunter. After killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals 150% of that killing blow's damage in addition to it. Damage is capped to 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised to 1250% if your headshot damage is greater than 150%. The new skill variant is the Repair Trap. The Repair Trap deploys a line of small devices capable of repairing friendlies in their proximity. Note the Repair Trap will not be available in-game until the seasonal prime target unlocks in August. New talents, we got the weapon talent Future Perfect. Weapon kills grant +1 skill tier for 15 seconds and stacks up to 3 times. Weapon kills at skill tier 6 grant overcharge, and overcharge is 90 seconds. Weapon talent in sync, we talked about that below, but it's 15% skill damage and 15% weapon damage. We got the backpack talent Adrenaline Rush. When you're within 10 meters of an enemy, you gain 20% bonus armor. And then we got Headhunter. After killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals 125% of that killing blow's damage in addition to it. Damage is capped to 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised to 1250% if your headshot damage is greater than 150%. This is going to be very, very strong with sniper rifles, essentially. So this is going to be a very, very strong talent. And we'll have to see how good this is when we actually get to play TU10 tomorrow. Gameplay changes. We've obviously got the new missions. Reduced how many elites will spawn in these missions here. It's quite a few. Loot. Added all new Season 2 weapon gears to general loot pools. Updated item power distribution to have better spread between minimum and maximum for all difficulties. Increased minimum reward item power for field proficiency and DZ caches. Clan caches and season caches. The difficulty scaling. Regular loot from loot containers and missions now scale with mission difficulty. Targeted loot from loot containers and missions now scales with mission difficulty. Loot containers, part of the living world activities, now scale with global difficulty. And just so people aren't confused, this is when you're playing an activity in the living world, not when you're just kind of free roaming. Targeted loot, increased targeted loot drop chances for all missions and control point difficulties, and we saw this in the PTS. It's looking about 70% now of all drops in those targeted loot areas are actually targeted loot. It may be higher in the live game. Added new Season 2 brand to targeted loot rotation, and Warlords of New York brands can now also show up as targeted loot in DC, including Dark Zones. Named items increased named item drop chance in regular Dark Zone loot, and increased named item drop chance in targeted loot everywhere. Exotics added Warlords of New York Season 1 exotics, excluding the Bighorn, to targeted loot. They've also been added to the general exotic loot pools as well. Heroic, Legendary, Raid, and Exotic Cache. On Coyote's mass drop from Coyote no longer has a minimum season level requirement. Control points. Removed regular weapon gear loot containers not scaling with difficulty from control points, and increased the amount of scaling loot from the big control point reward container. Brilliant news. Legendary, increased NPC loot drop chance for veterans and elites on legendary difficulty. Crafting will now guarantee a higher minimum item power, resulting in higher overall stat rolls. An increased minimum item power also allows for better crafted items than before. The added weighting between the minimum and maximum power results in a more balanced average outcome for crafted and reconfigured items. Removed final world tier 5 crafting bench upgrade, as its power increase is now redundant. So the crafting isn't going to be the be all and end all, but it is going to, if you've got a very low rolled summer and you want to get something which is possibly higher, maybe average, then this will be good for that. And again, it's also going to have the chance of dropping some god roll, but it's going to be a very low chance, I imagine. Vendors added named items to both open world and dark zone vendors. Increased prices for named items. Increased item power for all vendors, and vendors no longer sell superior quality items at maximum level. Perfect change. Needed this. Shade levels added field proficiency cache to shade level up after reaching the maximum season level. So when you get to 100, you're going to then start getting field proficiency caches. Increased crafting material rewards for spending shade level points in the scavenging category. Conflict added season shade experience gained on conflict level up. Rogue agent encounters. Every rogue agent killed will now drop loot. Rogue agent encounters no longer occur during time trials. There's nothing here to say that the actual dropped loot from rogue agents is the actual quality is any better. I hope it is. Otherwise, this is still going to be pointless. Control point officers. Players revived by control point officer now have 80% of their armor restored. Previously, it was 0. And it reduced the likelihood of control point officers being down in combat. Bounties acquired by speaking to characters in the open world will always be set to the difficulty at time of acquisition or higher. This is very good. This affects the snitch and civilians rescued during the public execution or rescue living world activities. Scheduled bounties such as daily and clan bounties, they're going to be unaffected. Projects, and we've got the new projects here, depending on what you got. If you've got the season pass, then you're going to get this this kind of season pass holder project slot for a new project. The weekly shade requisition project slot is for everyone. And then we got the legendary mission project, which again is for everyone, but it requires you to be able to do legendary content. RPG balance, incoming repairs no longer increases the amount of armor repaired by armor kits, talents, or gear set effects. And we already knew about this. If you want to pause it here and read through the developer comment, you can, but I'm going to move straight on because, like I said, this is very long. 1% weapon handling now gives 1% weapon accuracy, stability, reload, and swap speed, up from 0.25%. Reduce the maximum amount of weapon handling rolled on gear by 6% to a maximum of 8% at level 40. So the maximum used to be 14. It's now at a maximum of 8%. And the comment is, in the current meta, weapon handling on gear is considered a dead stat with no significant benefit. In TU10, equipping a piece of gear with 8% weapon handling will now give you 8% accuracy, stability, swap speed, and reload speed. So it's got quite a big buff there. Talent changes, leadership, bonus armor increased to 15% from 12%. Spike, skill damage duration increased to 15 seconds from 8 seconds. Reformation, skill power duration increased to 15 seconds from 8 seconds. Creeping Death no longer goes on cooldown if there are no valid nearby enemies to apply status effect to. Status effects applied now properly copy the source status effects damage and duration. So all buffs there. PvP, global damage modifiers. Reduced all PvP weapon damage by 20%. Additional damage modifiers. Increased MMR PvP weapon damage by 12.5%. Reduced assault rifle PvP damage by 15%. Reduced shotgun PvP damage by 12.5%. Reduced SMG by 10%. Pistol by 10% and rifle by 5%. And I'll read the comment here. With TU10 there have been significant buffs made to the base damage of all assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, in order to prevent these weapons from becoming overly powerful in PvP, which they already were prior to any of this stuff. We've had to lower their PvP damage modifiers to compensate. Note, assault rifles are still tuned to be 10% stronger than normal in PvP in order to compensate for that, for their innate damage to health bonus being less useful against other players when compared to other weapon archetypes. Specific damage modifiers. Increased double barrel shotgun PvP damage by 16.6%. Reduced pestilence PvP damage by -10%. Reduced classic M1A damage by a further 5%. Exotic modifiers. The merciless, ruthless binary trigger amplified weapon damage and explosion damage reduced by 50%. Imperial Dynasty no longer automatically applies the burn status effect. You're now going to have a 3-second line of sight between the holster bearer and the nearest enemy. Added visual UI feedback to reveal the radius effect in PvP as well. And then we got the Pestilence. Plague of the Outcast damage over time effect no longer triggers True Patriot's white debuff armor repair effect for both PvP and PvE. Gear set modifier, Negotiator's Dilemma. Reduce the range at which marked targets can damage each other when crucially hit in PvP only. Added UI feedback when in range of another marked target. I still think that this shouldn't work with NPCs, because it still will, and I just don't think that should work. Talent modifiers, efficient, reduced specialization armor kit from 100 to 50%, and then we got the versatile here, reduce the amplified weapon damage from 35 to 25. Skill modifiers, Pulse now correctly reveals and highlights all players in the DZ, not just hostiles and rogues. Increased striker drone damage by 30%, assault turret damage by 55%, reduced Firestarter chem launcher PvP damage by -20%, reduced bleed damage from Stinger Hive, mortar turret and explosive seeker mine by 75%, and increased the Stinger Hive damage by 20%, scaling up to 55% at skill tier 6. And then we've also got all the weapon damage balance in here, guys. I won't go through all of this, but I think effectively this is exactly what it was before. And from what I can gather, SMGs are going to be viable again. Some of the high rate of fire rifles are going to be viable. Some of the MMRs are going to be viable, especially with Headhunter. LMGs are still good. Basically, what's happened is they've done a big balance, and it appears that whilst the M1A is still going to be very strong, you are going to be able to kind of branch out and use other weapons and still feel relatively powerful at that point. Exotic changes. The Bighorn has had a buff here, as you can see. And from what I can tell, some people are saying that it's not that good. Some people are saying that it is. I've seen some PTS stuff, and it appears to be much better than before. Is it going to be best in slot? I don't think so, but it's still going to be worth the investment more so than it was before. Eagle Bearer, damage increased by 7.8%, and the underbarrel mod bonus is changed from 10% stability to 10% weapon handling, and that's actually quite a big buff there, because that's accuracy, reload speed, and all of that sort of stuff as well. We then got the Chameleon, which has been buffed as well. Let me just see if they've changed the thing here. Added functionality that retains your current buff to the next combat encounter when combat ends. Full talent is now. Hitting 30 headshots, grant 20%. This is the one to look at. 75 body shots, grant 90% weapon damage. So you are going to have to reload in order to activate this particular talent here, and I don't agree with that. Bullet King got a buff. Nemesis got a buff. Liberty got a bit of a change here. Merciless got a bit of a change as well. And then we'll move on to the Diamondback. Increased by 7.7%. I still think that's going to be underpowered. Liberty 11%. Lady Death increased by 18.9% damage. Chatterbox got 16.7% damage buff. Pestilence, and you can see all of the changes here, guys. Again, pause this stuff if you want to see all of this, because there's a lot here, and honestly this video will be an hour long if I have to go through everything. Gear set changes as well. Ongoing directive, hollow point ammo is no longer dropped on kill and instead automatically added to your active weapon when killing status affected enemies. Backpack, new trauma specialist. increases the duration of your bleed status effects by 50%, and all bleed damage done by 100%, increases the 3-piece reload speed from 20 to 30% as well. And then we got the tip of the spear here, the backpack talent new, signature moves, increases specialization weapon damage by 20%, and doubles the amount of specialization ammo generated by aggressive recon. Aces and eights, the backpack talent new, ace in the sleeve, amplifies 1 extra shot when revealing your hand. The 3-piece headshot damage bonus is now additive rather than multiplicative, and increase the 3-piece headshot damage bonus from 20% to 30%. So that looks like a bit of a nerf, at least to the headshot bonus there. The system correction, the main talent, now repairs 20% of your armor in addition to granting 50% bonus armor. Increases total weapon damage by 1% per 5% bonus armor gained up to 20%. And then we got the Striker's battle gear, reduce the number of stacks lost on missed shots from 3 to 2. Backpack talent no longer reduces the number of stacks lost on missed shots. Increases total weapon damage gained per stack of Striker's Gamble from 0.5 to 0.65%. The devs haven't really paid attention to the feedback on Strikers. I'm still hearing a lot of news that this is still not nearly enough to keep the stacks up, especially on console, where it's much harder to to actually connect with shots. So I still think this is going to be really underpowered, guys. Negotiator's Dilemma, damage transfers to the initial bullet that marks a new target. Hardwired, increase the 3-piece repair skills bonus from 15 to 30%. We'll look at the brand set changes here. The Alps Summit, increase the 1-piece repair skills from 15 to 20. Murakami, increase the 2-piece repair skills from 15 to 20. Richter and Kaiser, the 3-piece repair skills from 15 to 20. Incoming repairs brand from 15 to 20. I'm pretty sure this was 15 to 30, so that may have been a slight little nerf there. Providence Defense, the 1-piece headshot damage bonus from 10 to 15. Ariolda, 2-piece headshot damage bonus from 10 to 15. The 3-piece on Grupo, headshot bonus from 10% to 15. The Overlord Accuracy from 10% to 20 on the 2-piece. Douglas and Hardin, 2-piece stability from 10 to 20. 3-piece accuracy from 10 to 20. And the Fenris, the 2-piece reload speed from 10 to 20, and the 3-piece stability from 10 to 20. So all of this got a buff, essentially. Headshot, damage, reload speed, stability, accuracy, and repair skills. They all got a buff there. A slight buff. Specialization changes. Gunner specialization in placement talent, weapon handling bonus reduced from 15 to 10%. Note the UI will incorrectly say it still is 15 weapon handling. This will be fixed in a future update. Skill changes. UI, Stinger Hive, Mortar Turret, and Explosive Seeker Mine now display its bleed damage and duration. Seeker Mine targeting accuracy has been improved as well for the Cluster Seeker Mine. The Hive, the Stinger Hive base damage reduced by 20%. Stinger Hive damage bonus per skill tier increased from 10% to 20% as well. The comment is, in order to make investing in skill tiers have a greater impact on the Stinger Hive's damage, we slightly reduce the base drone damage while doubling the amount of damage gained with each skill tier. These changes result in a net buff for dedicated skill builds with a 10% increase in Stinger Hive drone damage at skill tier 6. The Restore Hive gains plus 5% drone flight speed per skill tier. Chem Launcher, Riot Foam, Chem Launcher and Snare duration bonus per skill tier reduced from 20 to 10%. The Reinforcer Chem Launcher, the UI has been updated to clarify that the initial heal only affects allies and not the skill user. The functionality has not changed. Firefly, blind duration bonus per skill tier reduced from 20 to 10%. The blind duration reduced from 6 to 5 seconds. And the blind of Firefly cooldown now begins after the end of the effect. So again, unfortunately, there was feedback on this and it doesn't appear they've made any changes. Banshee Pulse cooldown increased from 20 to 30 seconds. The Banshee Pulse base confused duration reduced from 5 to 4. Jammer Pulse disrupt duration from 4 to 3. Shock Trap, the base shock duration reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. In PvP it remains unchanged. Shock Trap base radius increased from 2 meters to 2.5 meters. And when the active duration ends, its cooldown is refunded an equal number of seconds than when it was active. And there's a huge bit of thing here, guys, where, do you know what? I'll just read through this entire thing, guys, but that's pretty much it. But I'm going to read through all of this so you guys can see exactly what is going on here. So, developer comment. One of the core objectives for the design team when working on Warlords of New York was to make the endgame challenging again, and to put a greater emphasis on both personal and group build synergy. We shipped Warlords of New York, we reduced the maximum power deltas on gear, which meant players could no longer overgear content like they could previously, which had the desired effect of making difficulty levels matter again. Do you know what? I've read this before, guys. Let me see if there's anything different here. Let's go here. A more insidious and less visible consequence of having overpowered crowd control convex effects is that it discourages the desire or need for any other form of group composition that isn't 1 CC and 3 DPS. Why consider bringing along a tank or a healer when your crowd controller essentially does the job of both? So what they're saying here is that because of the way CC used to work, or currently in the live game, it could hold legendary NPCs completely in place, meaning that they can actually fire back. And so that was not what they wanted, and hence why they made the changes to CCs. It says it's important to stress that none of these changes were made to discourage bringing a crowd controller to a gunfight. In fact, we're more than confident that dedicated crowd controller builds will remain the linchpin of any heroic or legendary group due to just how powerful these CC effects are, despite their reduction in uptime. And I agree that they are still going to be very strong with TU10 in a group, but what they're trying to do is make stuff like tanks or other stuff like that more viable, so that people don't always just go straight for CC, but it's still going to be there, guys. So then we've got all the bug fixes, and as you can see, guys, there is a million. So you can read through these if you want to. I'll leave a link down below to that. I will go on the known issues, so you guys are aware of those. Blind of Firefly's cooldown being delayed after applying its effect is unintended. Okay, so that's going to be fixed, the Blind of Firefly. Merciless Ruthless is currently not gaining stacks currently when using Negotiator's Dilemma. Negotiator's Dilemma is still doing incorrect, lower than intended damage against marked enemies in PvP. Okay, people might be quite happy about that. Increased rifle base ammo capacity by 50% from 280 to 420. This change was intended for TU10 but does not work properly. I did wonder why that didn't make it. And the Vanguard talent duration changes UI will still show the old duration, but will be fixed in a later update. So you guys are aware of the known issues. So when you go in the game and you think, well, you know, the Firefly situation, or certainly the rifle situation, why is it not showing? Well, it's a known issue and it's going to be fixed. But there you go, guys. To be honest, I don't think anything's changed from the phase 3 or all of the phases patch notes essentially. But there you go, there's a lot of changes here, guys. I will be testing and going into the game tomorrow to test this stuff out. And of course, as I said before, Operation Iron Horse, the new raid, is coming out, or due to be coming out in 2 weeks. And yeah, let's see what we've got to say about that. And of course, the new season will be coming out next Tuesday as well. I will just say here that participate in the activities above, and that's for the seasons, will earn players season experience contributing to their season level. Playing Conflict will contribute XP by gaining conflict levels beyond 30, and playing in the Dark Zone will also contribute XP by gaining DZ levels beyond 30 as well. That's towards the seasons, and it looks like we've got the names of the new events here. We've got Hollywood. The new apparel event is Phoenix Down, which means there's only one apparel event with this season. I thought there was 2 with season 1. I could be wrong. And the new leagues are Termite, Luna, Huntsman, and Titan. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate this is a very long one. If you stuck around to the end, you are an absolute boss. Thanks very much. Until the next one, guys. Epic out.